With all of the uncertainty in the world, the one thing that we've always kind of sat by and said, oh, it's not going to happen, mutual annihilation, all that kind of stuff, is World War III. But this has been on my brain for a few weeks now. And I finally just hit the tipping point and said, I have to talk about this. And I hope that you'll stick with me. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sutton's Days. If you're new here, my name is Lisa. We are all about pantry preparedness. And today we're going to talk about something that I think a lot of people don't want to acknowledge. A lot of people kind of put their head in the sand, not aware that their other end is sticking up in the air as a target. We need to become better prepared for the potential that World War III is not going to be like previous wars. It will not include bombs. It will include things like cyber attacks. It will include misinformation. It will include power outages and food shortages and medication shortages. That is how World War III will play out. And depending on who you talk to, we're at the beginning stages. But as I always say, this is not about promoting fear. This is about promoting awareness and preparedness, because if you're aware of it, then you can prepare for it. There are always ways to become better prepared. We have survived inflation. We have survived health scares, power outages. You already have the strength. We've already been through it. So this is not technically old news. It's just more concentrated and potentially a little more widespread. In 2025 and beyond, war is not going to look like we are used to. What it's going to look like now is cyber attacks, targeting our power, targeting our water, targeting our communication, our financial institutions, just to name a few. That is what they are currently targeting today. I have links in the description box with the latest and greatest that they're making us aware of. How many of you have received letters from your medical institution saying, our systems were breached and your information was leaked, and it's like 3 or 4 months old, so your information has been floating out there? Privacy, it doesn't exist anymore. It does not exist anymore. These people sit around trying to find ways into the back end of systems in order to cause chaos. That's what they do. And a lot of these people are for hire from not so nice people. In addition to that, we've got economic sanctions and trade disruptions and, port closures. We had that for a while, and we had food export restrictions, which are still technically in play. So when a country says, no, we're not going to ship this out anymore, and it's a significant part of the world trade in that commodity, we get impacted. Yes, even us, believe it or not. And then there's the psychological warfare. Holy Hannah, they are expert at this, right? If you look at the propaganda and the social trust or mistrust, all of the information where they're going to feed you what you need to justify your thoughts, one way or the other. Very little truth or fact is actually being reported anymore from anywhere. And if you walk into it knowing that, it makes you a little more aware of it, but does it change anything? Probably not. If that's the only place you're getting your source of information, then they got you. Now, if you want to look at some examples, I'll put the information down below, but there was a cyber attack on the Colonial Pipeline, okay? Remember all the hoarding that was going on? This is not even preparing. There's a significant difference between hoarding and being prepared. So don't confuse the two, because they're not the same. And all of the false information campaigns, they are getting to the point where you can't trust anything anymore. How does this hit us at home? In a multitude of different ways. Number one is food shortages, higher prices, less variety. Anybody walk through Walmart lately? Now, I warned you about this a couple of years ago. They were restructuring the inside of their stores. They were taking away a lot of the choices. So if, for lack of a better example, if you remember going through Walmart and seeing most of an aisle filled with different kinds of ketchup and barbecue sauce, that section now takes up less than 6 feet. Less than 6 feet. The variety is not there anymore. Your favorite might not be there anymore. That is a cause of people retracting in and not having that supply there anymore. And the prices are going up because all of the prices are going up. I love it when I get comments from people saying, my prices are going down. Then by all means, stay where you are, because the prices are not going down anywhere for anybody. Look at grid failures. This is, to me, one of our biggest threats out there, because our government is out there doing their due, being bought and sold by corporations. So, yeah, the last thing on their mind is taking care of the things that take care of us. And the grid is the number one thing. They have been warned about the grid and the impending failure of our power grid for decades now. It is old, it is aging. We don't make most of the parts here. It's gonna happen. To me, that is the one surefire thing that is going to happen, is that our grid is going to be significantly impacted, because they would rather be bought and sold than they would take care of business. That's where the money needs to be going. But, no heating, no cooling, no lights. And that's just the beginning. That's just the very beginning. Think of all the things that are impacted in your home if the power goes out. How many things with your health, your wellness, your food are impacted if the grid goes down? To me, that's the number one priority, and they don't care. Next one is bank outages and limits. This is just a hot mess. No ATM, no debit access, right? You can't access your online stuff for the banks. The people in the bank can't access their online stuff for the banks. They're constantly under attack. These are the things that we need to consider when we are preparing. How can we become prepared if there's no power? How can we become prepared if we can't access our finances? What can we do to safeguard ourselves to some extent if those two systems go down? Misinformation is rampant, rampant. You literally can't trust anything anymore. They're so busy telling you what they think you want to hear or what they're being paid to tell you that you can't trust anything anymore. So it causes confusion, it causes poor decisions, it causes panic. I don't think that we have benefited as much as we thought we would with all of the information out there. The people that are affected the most by all of this are the older folks and those on fixed incomes. And then there's the people that are caregivers and those with medical conditions. There's a lot of them. Gen Z, hi. Why do we have to be aware of this? Because I think putting your head in the sand to where your other extremities are up in the air as a target is a poor way to live your life. Once we understand the threats that are coming at us, the threats that exist today, the warfare that is happening literally today, we can build calm routines to prepare. Are you going to be prepared for absolutely everything? Never. You will never, ever achieve that. I don't think there's a single person out there, short of Bill Gates, and I bet he isn't either, that can be prepared for absolutely everything. But if you are aware, you can prepare for the most likely to impact you the greatest. And that's what we need to focus on. The goal isn't to be afraid. Living in fear is not thriving, okay? It's to take smart steps now in order to become better prepared. It is literally a matter of time. We've been discussing this for a while. A lot of historians have predicted a World War III. But I think when they predict them, the first thing that comes to any of our minds are the same kind of wars that we had for 1 and 2. And granted, depending on where you lived, because I know we're kind of, global now, as far as information and this channel go, you're impacted differently, right? It didn't come to the shores of the US. It took people from the shores of the US. It did hit the shores of the UK. It's a horrible thing. But when/if it comes this time, or the fact that I believe that it is already beginning, it's going to come in a quiet manner. It's going to come with the inability to light your house. It's going to come with rolling blackouts. It's going to come with food shortages, medication shortages, that kind of thing. That's how it's going to show up first. And that's what we need to be the best prepared for. The really good news about this is that this is the kind of stuff that we should be preparing for already. Maybe not to the extent that you would if it were the last time that the lights ever came on, but to the extent that you can at least make it through some really uncomfortable times or make them more comfortable should they occur. Modern warfare affects us all, but we are not powerless. Never believe that you're powerless, okay? We can be prepared. We really can. You don't need to be a survivalist. You just need to be a realist. What a thought, what a concept, right? You don't need to go out there and learn which bugs to eat or which plants to eat. You don't need it. We're going to walk through some practical steps that protect your comfort, your safety, and your independence because those are important. First one, the one that's closest to my heart, of course, pantry preparedness, right? You want to focus on shelf stable foods. You want to have them available in case of an emergency. But as I always say, you don't want to just stock for the what if. You want to stock the foods that you eat today that are shelf stable or that you can make shelf stable so that you have them in the future moving forward. And then you want to rotate through them and backfill them. That is the right way to stock a pantry. Buying a bunch of stuff sticking out on a shelf and saying, I'll come back and visit you in 5 years if nothing happens, is a complete waste of time and money. And nobody has that much time and nobody has that much money. You want to make sure that if there are special diets, if there are allergies, that you're addressing them. You want to address no cook options, okay? And you want to look at having 2 to 3 weeks of food available for you at the minimum. At the minimum. If you have more, bonus points. Rotate what you eat. Just don't store it. Just storing it is not an action plan. It is a recipe for failure. Now, let's say if the grid goes down, because that's something we have to think about on a pretty regular basis. I think about it all the time because our power goes out pretty regular around here. And so there are some things that are just essential. And for all of us, it might be a little bit different, right? But lights, look at LED lanterns, solar flashlights, that kind of thing. Even the hand crank ones. Yes, they're a pain in the whoozy whatses, but you don't have to rely on an outside power source. You want to look at heat because it gets cold in certain parts of the US. I'm in one of those parts. So if you require heat because it's freezing outside, you want to find alternative ways to heat your home. There are things out there. There is the Mr. Buddy heater, okay? Just you have to remember that the canisters last about 3 hours if you run it on high. So how many canisters do you need to get through 3 weeks? Or can you get the adapter to set up a, 10-pound tank? That's one way to look at it. The other one is power. How can you provide backup power for yourself? Is solar an option for you? Have some charged up backup batteries for your phones or for your electronics. Have, if you can afford a generator, you don't need a huge one. You don't need a whole house generator. And some places like here, it just, to me, doesn't make sense to have a whole house generator. To me, for my circumstances, as an example, number one, I can't afford it. Number two, it would only last as long as my propane tank kept putting out propane. If you're on natural gas, that's another thing altogether, as long as the natural gas runs, which is most likely a lot longer than my propane tank will. So am I going to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a whole house generator that is only going to last as long as my 500-gallon propane tank? No, thank you very much. I am not. It doesn't make sense. But we do have a smaller generator that can take care of our needs should it ever happen. We have a way to keep that freezer going just a couple more days while I can everything in it up. We have a way to use it to charge up our batteries. We have a way to use it to get our well to work a few times a day, right? Finding the different things that work for your situation because your situation is unique to you and where you live. It's always a good idea to practice no power routines. It has become so ingrained in us here that we barely blink anymore when we lose the power. I think the most out there thing that I do is I go on Facebook and say, yep, it's down again. Way to go, consumers, you know? And then we just go about our business. We have become so conditioned to losing it that it is barely a blip in our radar anymore. It's like, okay, if 12 hours later we still don't have power, we'll plug in the generator. Okay, fine. And that depends on whether or not it is winter or summer. That's the big factor right there. And I'm less worried in the wintertime because we can heat our house with wood and everything can stay frozen that needs to stay frozen. You want to look at your communications, your finances, and your security. And these are like three really big ones that will take some time and take some serious consideration, okay? As far as communication goes, backup plans if your phones don't work, if the internet goes down. I mentioned landlines a few videos back, and there were some people going, I have a landline, it's just on voice IP. No, a landline doesn't require the internet, okay? The original landline doesn't require it. They are phasing it out, but hang on to it as long as you can. That's my opinion because it works with or without the electricity. So you want to figure out different ways to have your contacts and to be able to contact people. That includes local contacts. You want to print out a list of those, your friends, your family, and you want a family meeting point where it's a plan that your entire family knows that if something happens during the day, this is where we're going to meet. That's what you want to make sure you have set up. Finances, I mean, there's not a lot we can do about that. If you've got the money, okay, it's always great to have some cash on hand. How much? I don't know. That depends on you. I'm not going to give you a number because I don't know what your bank balance is. But you want to have some cash on hand in case the power's down and you can't access your ATM, the bank isn't open, or they've been impacted by a cyber attack. You want to make sure you've got cash so that you can get the goods that you need while the getting's good. Home security is a big one. Okay. You want to look at lock reinforcements for your doors, for your windows. Think about all of the different access points. It's not enough that you lock the front door and the back door, but if the door going into the breezeway is not locked, then they have access into your home. If the door going from the garage to the breezeway is not locked, they have access to your home. You have to consider literally every single place that somebody can access your home. Home security is a really big one. Outside lights, put them on timers. Put them on timers. Make it light up, dusk to dawn, that kind of thing. That could hit your electric bill a little bit. Make them motion detectors. That works too. You want to know your exits and you want to know your safe zones. There is a reason why I have an exterior door in my bedroom because that side of the house doesn't have a way out other than through a window, and I'm too old to jump out of windows, okay? I am always very aware and fearful of fires. We heat with wood. So having exit points at each end of the house and in the middle is super important to me. You want to know where your safe zones are for certain things that happen. If you are in a hurricane area, a tornado area, something like that, you want to know where your safe zones are. Everybody's thing is different, so you need to take a look at what works for you in your area. Identify them, be aware of them, share them with everybody else in your household. This is the quiet work that keeps us calm during the storm. Being prepared, taking those daily steps, taking those daily actions, sitting down and thinking about the different things like what are the different ways to access my house? What would I do if the power went out for 2 weeks? Do I have the food that I need to get me through for 2 to 3 weeks? If I can't access my bank or online, do I have some cash to get me through for 2 weeks? It's definitely something to sit and think about. And it's so individual that there's not really definite answers that I can provide for you, but I can give you, guidance as these are the things that you should be thinking about because we all need to think about them. And I mean, everybody, there isn't a day goes by where I'm not assessing some part of this household, of our little homestead, of what would happen if that I have a list going for the different things that I want to address to make sure that we're safer. Now, the fun part is none of us are getting younger, right? None of us are getting younger. So, how do we thrive in an age of uncertainty? Because these are definitely uncertain times. They are definitely uncertain times. And we need to be able to thrive in them. And so, all of these things that I've been talking about are ways that we can do this. But we may not be as fast as we were when we were 30, but we're wiser, okay? And we're calmer and we are more resourceful. We are of a demographic that is just naturally more resourceful. Look at everything that we've made it through, right? Preparedness isn't just for you, it's literally your legacy. It is literally your legacy. After a certain age, there are just certain things that we need to prepare for, special needs, special things that we have to plan for, right? It can be medication, really. If you have not spoken to your doctor about the medications that you take and getting a 90-day supply, speak to them. It's not available for everything. I get it. So there's also the point of, are there alternatives that you can do to get you through an emergency, right? Power for medical devices, your CPAP machine, your oxygen, whatever the case may be, you need a backup power supply to keep those going if the grid goes down. Finding that is kind of imperative when you think about it. And mobility during emergencies. I have said for a long time, okay, that I'm going to be working 3 days past my funeral, partly for financial reasons and partly because the minute you stop moving, you stop living. You are just that much closer to the end. And I'm going to be kicking and screaming all the way through to the end, right? So, being mobile, having mobility, especially during emergencies, is very important. Even if you are just walking around your house, if you are lapping your house, lapping your hallway, walking around the outside of your house, if you feel safe doing that, whatever you can do to make yourself a little bit stronger. I'm not talking bodybuilder strong, right? I'm talking about your ability to get off the floor, your ability to get out of a chair, your ability to move around your house and move if there is an emergency, to be able to get out. And some of it is very simple solutions. Well, Lisa, I have a walker. Okay. So create yourself a 72-hour bag that will hang off your walker that you can actually function with. That's a great way to have what you need in an emergency to get out that door. You can get out that door with a walker. Then you can get out that door with a walker that has a go bag on it. Community is a huge part of preparedness. And I know I've got a whole bunch of solo people out there, okay? But um, it's still important and it's still something that you need to focus on. I don't have any friends. It takes you to start that, okay? You need to be a good friend to have a good friend. You need to people to meet your people. It's just a fact of life. There is literally nobody in this world that is going to show up on your door and hand you your dreams and your wishes with a pillow and a kiss. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't for anything. Nobody is going to come to your rescue. You need to figure out what you can do to save yourself. And sometimes that is literally just as simple as being a good friend, because then you have a good friend. Isolation it's no help at all. It is no help at all, okay? So isolation is dangerous. And you really need to give this some serious thought. No help, no info, you need to find a way to not be so isolated. There are ways to make it happen. I can't answer every single thing for you. You are the one sitting in your situation. You need to be able to get up and take care of this. Build a local buddy system. It's not hard, okay? Friends, neighbors, if applicable, church. I am astounded at how many of you people belong to churches that literally don't care. Literally don't care. And so I'm going to question you to go talk to the person in charge of your church and find out what programs they have and what they can do to make sure that somebody will check on you. Because I'm betting they have something, but you're going to have to put yourself out there. Create that contact tree, that phone tree between you and your friends, your buddy system, check-in system. That's huge. And find ways to teach other people how to cook, how to sew, how to grow food, whatever the case is. There are so many groups out there doing all this stuff. Go to your local library. They are a great resource and possibly an opportunity for you to teach other people or to create a discussion group where you can all get together and chat about the issues you're having with sewing or growing food or knitting or canning or whatever the case. I think what is important for me is I'm not so much about legacy. I have a strong belief that when I'm dead, I'm dead. Okay. So I really don't care. But if I'm going to leave a legacy, I want it to be a legacy of strength. That to me is important. I'm not going to leave you a whole bunch of money because, honey, I don't got it. Okay. I'm not going to leave you a whole bunch of stuff because, well, most of it's not worth anything. I'm going to leave you a legacy of strength because that is something that you can use and that is something that you can pass down and make part of your legacy also. Teach the grandkids or the kids or friends basic preparedness skills. Basic, just basic, okay? Document your family recipes. You know how valuable those are to your family. Family recipes, skills, and emergency contacts. Those are great things to have available. Your calm will anchor your family. It will anchor the next generation during all of the storms that they will have to endure also, along with the ones that we have to go through currently. Start small. You don't have to do it all at one time. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You take your time, okay? One thing, just make that list, go through that one thing or one story. Seriously, if you love to write, write a story and make it about the thing that you want to pass down, the information that you want to pass down. That to me would be an epic legacy. Your strength, your story, and your steps today could be what holds your family together tomorrow. That's a legacy. I have 3 little checklists down below. I've combined them all into one for you to go through to kind of check off as we go, through all of this as you accomplish it because I know that you can. I know that you can accomplish it. It's just a matter of sitting down and setting your mind to it. Because we all have excuses, but to be truly prepared, you acknowledge your excuses and then you get over them and you start taking care of business. We've done it before, we'll do it again. They have been predicting this for a long time. I believe that we are in the beginning stages of it. I have links down below with information about where I found out about some of this stuff. And I hope to some extent that this helps. I'm going to link you to probably my largest playlist on preparedness. It has quite a few videos on it, but I would like to know what your first task is going to be. Throw it in the comments section down below. Check out the playlist right here. And until next time, everybody, be safe. Stack it to the rafters, my friends.